Hey astronauts, this is Brandi and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. If you're new here, as I said, hi, I'm Brandi. I am a practical tarot reader and an astrology researcher, so I like to combine everyday, real-world grounded insights to give you practical predictions. And so this week's reading is, I'm going to address the singles here. I'm going to address all the women and men out here looking for love. And this reading is Singles, Your Next Serious Relationship, the First 3 Months. I know, a bit of a long title, but I wanted to get specific and I wanted to address the singles. And I also wanted to come at this from an angle that I don't think is mentioned too often. So you guys know I love a unique creative idea, so this is where we have landed. Now, if you would like a private reading from me, all you have to do is head to that description bar below, fill out the form, I'll get back to you. And also I go live on the weekends, that's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Time is posted on the community tab. Also in the community tab, you know, I love to poll you astronauts. I will ask you questions. Like, there's so much information out there for you to participate and give your thoughts on the channel and opinions. I really appreciate it. And we're just going to jump in, you know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and, you know, follow me on social media. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pile number 1, let's get into the first 3 months of your next serious relationship. We have the 7 of Raindrops reverse choices. We have the Apprentice of Lightning adventure. We have the Queen of Wands. We have the King of Pentacles. We have the 9 of Swords reversed. And we have the 8 of Cups reversed. All right. So let's look into this. 7 of Raindrops and Apprentice of Lightning. When I look at the 7 of Raindrops reversed, and we're talking about the first, like, 3 months of this relationship, to me it feels as if, how do I put this into words? You guys pretty much narrow your focus when it comes to, like, filtering out other choices. You know, sometimes when you're dating, you might want to date a few people at the same time. Like, some people build a roster or everything. But to me, it feels as though you guys aren't really doing that. Your focus is solely on each other. I think that when it comes to how you both approach relationships, you're not the type to want to have a bunch of different lovers or people you're going out on dates with. And even if that is so, you know, maybe you're limited in your options, you're limited in your choices. Sometimes what happens is we have a certain bar or certain qualities that we look for in partners, and depending on what those qualities are, it can limit the amount of choices. And so for you guys, it may show here that you both have some pretty solid standards, and thus you're like, hey, I'm choosing you because you're the only one in a 50-mile radius who even meets these standards. So that could be the vibes going on here. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because to even find someone who is like-minded, who has the same goals, desires, and what you're looking for within a relationship, to meet your non-negotiables, that is something that takes a lot of time and luck and effort. So that is what I want to say there. They're looking for someone who has certain qualities that not a lot of people meet, and you might be doing the same, and you'll find that in each other. Okay? And so it just makes sense that you're like, I don't want to date a bunch of other people. There isn't anyone else. Now, if we go on to this Apprentice of Lightning, which is essentially the Page of Wands, once again, it's kind of talking about how you guys are moving fast. And it's kind of strange because in a few of the readings that I've done recently about like first spouses, hopefully you only get married once, but you never know. But readings I have done when it comes to like who people will end up marrying, a few of them have turned out where the dating phase tends to go a little bit faster. Which, very interesting, because some people prefer slow burn, but, fast is not always bad. And so I wonder if this next serious relationship is going to be someone that you end up marrying. That's the only reason I brought this up. Just a thought. And so when I'm looking at this Apprentice of Lightning and this Queen of Wands, this starts off pretty fast. I don't generally get the Page of Wands or Apprentice of Lightning to represent meeting through friends, nor do I get the Queen of Wands in that manner at all. But one thing I will notice about the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands is both of these cards have a sense of impulsivity to them. And so to me, the first stages, the first 3 months that are going on here, there's a lot of like last minute plans or seeing each other. And it's not to say that you guys won't formulate plans, but you might say, hey, like, let's meet up next weekend. That weekend happens and you're like on the date, and then you guys decide, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? That type of energy, right? So I just expect a lot of that to be going on. The Page of Wands, definitely someone who is going to be very proactive about wanting to see you. And I feel that this is vice versa. Though I will say with the Queen of Wands, she's a little bit more focused and directed than the Page of Wands. So obviously the energy matures over time. There's less impulsivity. There's less like last minute plans. And there is a sense of spontaneity still, but it's not this, oh, I've got to see you right now type of energy. It's like, what are you doing in a few days? When are you next free? It's spontaneous, but not as spontaneous, And it also shows that the passion grows. It becomes more focused. There's a lot more understanding, especially when it's like, oh, we're sharing inside jokes now. That Page of Wands energy is kind of like being introduced to something, and you have a bit of awkwardness to you, and the confidence isn't completely there. But then this Queen of Wands goes to this place of confidence and understanding. And so the first 3 months is kind of getting over those awkward humps and understanding each other's senses of humor. And then you sort of narrow it down and you form these inside jokes. You have a deeper understanding of each other. There's more acceptance of people's personalities, especially when we talk about wands, because wands connect very heavily to individuality and being yourself and being creative and authentic. And so you guys start to get very comfortable with each other very quickly. I just want that to be known here. And I was going somewhere earlier where I said, I don't think you guys are going to meet through friends. I think this is going to be some other avenue, something that is likely going to be through some acquaintance, coworker. I don't really see internet here. Maybe even a stranger, you know, maybe someone comes up to you and they're like, oh, come sit with us or whatever. And then they're friends at the table and you think their friend's cute or whatever. I don't know. Things like that have happened to me, at least personally. Not that I've ended up dating them, but I have met people that way, right? And so I just feel that there's a sense of randomness to this particular energy here. And if I think about the Page of Wands, the Page of Wands is usually going to indicate something new. I remember getting the Page of Wands for finances one month. And trust me, this is related. I love going off on my tangents. So give me a moment, astronauts. So I remember getting the Page of Wands for finances one month. And that month was a lot of experimenting with creative ways to potentially grow my channel. And also making a lot of different changes in those areas. So I was spending money on my channel in the background. And then also making changes creatively. Because I also read the money house as like things you value, right? And I'm bringing this up because if we think about what the page is kind of representing, it's investing your time in newness. And therefore, it is pouring your energy into things that are going to fulfill you creatively, or they're going to bring about some sort of excitement, some sort of change, some sort of transformation. But the energy doesn't stay the same. Like, it just doesn't. And there's a lot of mistakes there too. Trust me, that month there were a few financial mistakes that I overlooked, which I normally don't, but it happens. And so if we look at that in terms of how you're meeting, the meeting can be a little awkward, right? It can be a little bit like, oh, I think I might have said the wrong thing. I thought I was joking. That might have been a little offensive. I may be stumbling over my words, or maybe it's leaning into the newness of it, where it's just like, okay, I'm in a new environment. This is a new vibe. This person is new to me. I'm meeting through an acquaintance, things along the lines of that. And then, or I'm putting myself out there in a way I haven't done before. So that is why, you know, I like to go off on my tangents to connect things, but there's that. And it can also represent, like I said, that creative environment as well. So you could be meeting through that way. Now, when it comes to first impressions, because we're talking about the first 3 months of getting to know each other, you know, once we go past the initial understanding and meeting stage and the connection, the chemistry right away, we get into this space where you both kind of recognize each other's quality or value, if that makes a lot of sense. The Queen of Wands is someone who is very, very welcoming, very warm type of aura. She is exuding confidence, and the King of Pentacles is someone similar. A little bit more of a quiet confidence, but and a lot more luxury involved with the King of Pentacles. And they have all the sort of like material markers of success. And so that leads me to believe that maybe you or them really like some high-end items and quality things, which I don't think that's apparent immediately, just because like we have this page and Queen of Wands, and wands don't really, I'm not saying they don't give luxury, but they more so, they like serve face and give body and warmth and fun. And I don't normally get, for me, the cards don't normally communicate to me in this way, that wands are sort of like, hey, we are material girls. They can be, but that's not their initial impression. And so as the 3 months go on, someone or something, or maybe both of you guys, or circumstances occur where it becomes more obvious that someone may have a lot of cash, right? Because the King of Pentacles is not just someone who likes luxury things. He can afford it. that's his norm. That's his standard. That's the bar. That's where things lie. And so it becomes more apparent over the 3 months that somebody has a little cash and they like to spend it, and they're probably good with finances. And it makes things a little bit less stressful, especially since we have this Nine of Swords reversed here. Maybe that one of you or both of you have some financial worries, or maybe you even have some lifestyle concerns or something along the lines of that. Because sometimes it's not just about the finances. Sometimes people are just like, hey, is my partner active because I'm very active, or vice versa? Is my partner active because I'm not very active? Right? So it can happen in that way as well. So once you guys start to get to know each other more, a lot of the anxiety seemed to go away. I do want to say that. I don't get the feeling that there is a lot of calling and texting. I feel you guys are more so, let's meet up in person, because texting is a bit annoying. I feel like that's kind of like the vibe you guys are on. And I don't know if it's because you guys are busy or if there's just other things happening. But this Nine of Swords reversed is like, please, like, I know that I've just kind of gotten out of my own way, and the worries and the stress are starting to subside. I've just woken up from the nightmare, but please just give me a moment, because I've just woken up from the nightmare, right? Like, and so that it gives me this feeling of just like, almost like healing from an insecure attachment style. I don't know if you have one, but if you are someone who has an insecure attachment style, you understand it, and you're taking the steps to sort of I don't know if pacify is the right word, but have corrective experiences, or to question that line of thinking or feeling, then you understand that it takes time to grow. It takes time to, check yourself and subside those fears and worries, because this Nine of Swords upright can be like, oh my gosh, what if this person turns out to be a monster and they're so awful and they leave me, or whatever, especially since it's next to that Eight of Cups. It's like I'm trying to let go of fears where I think this person is going to walk away from me, they're going to leave me, they're going to abandon me, right? So there could be a lot of that going on, and trying to just release that. So in a way, it's a little bit like a healing moment. I do think a lot of your dates are going to be very active in the beginning, and that's because of this Queen of Wands character person. And then it's going to kind of go into less activity because of this King of Pentacles person. They're going to say, you know what? That's cool and everything. They like the wand activity. They like the physicality of it. They like the bowling. They like the axe throwing. They love the, glass making, whatever, pottery making, all of that. But they're just like, hey, sometimes I just want to sit down and like eat a meal, and I want to be entertained. I don't want to have to do any work, because I want other people to work for me. That's kind of like the vibe I'm getting as we move on in these 3 months. And I really do like this combination of cards, because something about you two coming together, like it feels like you're both subsiding each other's fears. It's almost like a sense of healing going on in this dating stage over the next 3 months, or first 3 months. I see same next, but it's the first 3 months. I feel like, given the cards that we have here, I think that it's likely that, let me use my words carefully. Give me a moment to pause. I think that it's likely that when it comes to dating, you guys are going to dive in. You're going to end up talking about your past relationships or past experiences, whether that is romantically, work, whatever. Work's going to come up, obviously. Your own ambitions and goals and personal experiences, duh, that's coming up. But you're going to want to talk about your past relationships and unsatisfactory connections. And that's something that through conversation, things are going to almost feel as if, okay, I'm like safe with this person, if that makes sense. You know, I hope I'm making a lot of sense. Like through the conversations, there's less stress, there's less disappointment, and there's this feeling of like I've broken through a place that I have been emotionally stuck in. I hope that is making sense. That 8 of Cups reversed, it's kind of like this feeling of like, I don't think I can do better than this. If I'm going to be honest, the 8 of Cups reversed is like, nah, there's nothing more for me out there. And I love the fact that it's framed, this whole reading is like framed between this 7 of Cups reverse choices, like limited choices. And then the 8 of Cups is almost like, this is not really something I want to walk away from. So I think 8 months in, it gets to the understanding that like, I think this person, there's some longevity to it. This is something I can invest my time in. I don't really foresee me wanting to move on, you know. Sometimes we look at the 8 of Cups reverse and we're like, oh, this person's refusing to walk away, right? But sometimes it's like there's no point in walking away. Like you have what you need. It's simply that simple. So I'm gonna leave it there. Trying to think if there's anything else the cards really want me to mention in terms of like, I don't know. I don't really see you guys introducing each other to your friends or anything. If that's what you're wondering during the first like 3 months, I don't see that. Sorry. You might meet like maybe a few acquaintances of theirs or just like, but it's not like the deeper connections. Like you're not meeting the family, the friends, whatever in the first 3 months. I just don't see it. It's really just about getting to know each other and understanding what you both want within a relationship. Having a lot of like, definitely, I'm going to say this, the physical intimacy is definitely there off the bat. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you guys had those moments pretty early on in this relationship. When it comes to like the first kiss and etc. I'm not going to go into all of the details. YouTube will ban me. But that'll be happening pretty quickly. And the emotional sort of like connection, that's something that's forming a little bit later when it comes to opening up, because both of you seem to have some anxieties that just need to be subsided by getting to know each other a lot better is what I am seeing here. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't need to do a 2-hour reading. So, because you guys know I will talk for like 2 hours. And hopefully this resonates. And I really do see someone coming forward that just has a lot of qualities that feel supportive. Like, to me, there's a sense of safety here that both of you are getting. You know, it's, to me, I'm looking at the cards and just feeling as though it's, I don't know, it's this feeling of like, I don't want to go anywhere. I got what I need right here. But I'm going to leave that. And if you want a private reading from me, feel free to go to the description bar. I'm talking low, guys. You know, I normally talk a little bit louder. I'm a loud person because everyone's sleeping right now. So I'm not trying to be too loud. But so that's why I'm talking low, this reading. And I'm going to leave it there. I hope to see you next time. And au revoir. All right, pal. Number 2, let's get into your next serious relationship, the first 90 days or 3 months, you know, depending on it. We have the Master of Gems Wealth. We have the the High Priestess, essentially. We have the Strength card reversed. We have the Queen of Cups upright. We have the Ace of Pentacles reversed. And we have the Seven of Cups reversed. A lot of reversals here, you know? Interesting. So let's get into this with your next serious relationship. So when I first look at the Master of Gems Wealth, that's obviously the King of Pentacles here. And because this is reversed, either the most 2 likely scenarios are happening. And that would imply, number 1, maybe they have a good paying job, but they might that's funny. They might struggle to manage their finances. Second thing is they may be someone who is aspiring to have stability within their life, but maybe they have gone through many financial setbacks. And it's just been difficult to get their feet off the ground or even like get opportunities to create wealth. Because sometimes it's not always the fault of the person who is put in these positions. Sometimes it really is just the luck of the draw, right? Right? It's like that sometimes. And you kind of have to fight your way out of like instability. So there's that. And then we also have like maybe more of an extreme end of the spectrum where this person can, you know, just be someone who's like not very generous, you know. Hopefully that's not the case. And it may be more so on the like, hey, there's some things I need to fix in my financial situation. I need to get a better paying job. I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to build more stability for myself. I need to learn how to better manage my finances. Because, you know, those are things people can improve upon. I mean, you can improve upon being stingy, but that's generally just like a characteristic of your personality, you know. So I really do... I can see that, you know, I can see that. So I really do hope that this is kind of showing that those are the elements at play here. And also last interpretation, you know, this person just may be private about their money. Sometimes people have a lot of money, but they don't talk about it. They're just like, they rather be low key. You definitely have people who make a lot of money who will buy big houses, cars, etc. Then you have people who kind of live below their means and they're more simplistic when it comes to their money. Just because that's what they like. So, you know, just let you know a little bit about this person. Just hit my elbow. Anyway, what I was going for here is we're talking a little bit about the dating period and what's unfolding over these first 3 months of you guys connecting. So these first 3 months are actually pretty interesting because we have this High Priestess energy and the Strength energy. And these are very quiet cards, especially when we're talking about the Master of Gems Wealth. If we're looking at it from the angle of like private wealth, private equity, keeping things hidden, then we have like this top row of things having to do with holding things in, keeping a little bit more secret, keeping things a little bit undercover. And so it makes me feel like this is not a situation that is... It's not something that's out in the open with how you guys meet. Like, you're not going to meet at a party, if I can be clear about that. It's possible it's online, but it's probably going to be a little bit more of obscure app. You know, it's not a popular app, because then that would be more public facing cards. Even if Strength is reversed, you know, Strength still isn't this completely outlandish card, especially not in between the Queen of Cups and the High Priestess. Those cards aren't known for being like center of attention type of energy and vibe. And so how you're going to meet is definitely, there's an element of seclusion to it. Maybe you guys run into each other on a hike. Hopefully, that actually sounds terrifying. Actually, hopefully that's not the case. But maybe the time and place, the place that's probably not, maybe it's not a popular place. Like maybe you go to a coffee shop and it's like the middle of the day, so it's not busy. You know, I remember when I was working in restaurants, you know, it was always like before dinner that was dead, like 4 p.m., 3 p.m. So it could just be talking about, hey, the environment's just kind of like a dead scene a little bit. And it's very quiet, you know, it's like, okay, I'm in the restaurant at like 3:30, barely anyone's here, let me get my food, right? So there's that to it. So I just feel like that's the environment you're meeting in. I really think it's interesting how we have this High Priestess and Strength card reversed when it comes to like just your general energies and the impressions you're making on each other, because we know the High Priestess is someone who can be very secretive, very mysterious, very quiet. It's like not everything is revealed about this person. They have their own hidden world, and that might be part of the allure for either one of you or both of you, where it feels as though this person has this air of intrigue about them. You're like, who is that mysterious stranger sitting there with their book and cup of coffee or something? I don't know. And you're just glancing away at them, and they might be glancing back, and you're wondering like, you know, how do I get this person to talk to me? Or like, you know, what should I do? Because the Strength card reverse is like, oh, I want to keep my cool, but like I'm acting out a little bit. You might do something a little bit embarrassing, you know, like that can happen, right? Like you're trying to come off like you've got like you're nonchalant or something, and you happen to just notice them at the corner of your eye, but you're not paying too much attention. But it doesn't come across that way. In fact, with the Strength card reverse, it's very obvious for either you or them or both of you guys that you guys are feeling each other. Like it's clear. All right. I want that to be known. This Strength card has, when it's reversed, it's hard to keep things under control. It's hard to keep things confined and to yourself. It's like, oh my God, I want to say something. Or like it reminds me of like if you're with your friends. I don't know if this happens to you guys, and then you see someone and you're like, oh my God, look at him, like, right? Or her, whoever you're interested in. And like, you're not trying to seem too obvious about it, but it can end up being obvious depending on how loud you are or whatever. But I will say it's still the Strength card. So it's not super over the top, okay? But it does show that, like, you know, they notice you think they're cute, and you may notice they think you're cute, okay? That's what I'm trying to say here. That's what's happening with these dynamics. And I will say, because of the reversals going on here, reversals are interesting because it shows a lot during these 3 months. There's a lot of like introspection. And my initial thought when I looked at these cards was that there's a lot that's not being said. I'm always talking with my hands, but you guys can't see my hands because I'm holding them to my chest, so I'm trying to bring them forth. But there's always a lot of introspection, and so all of the things that you're thinking, all of your nervousness, all of the sort of assumptions that you're making, they're not being said out loud during these 3 months, okay? And we literally have no swords here. No swords means the communication's not that strong. You know, it's not like, there's a lot of things going unspoken here. And so I just want you to know that. And so it can feel like for some of you, and hopefully this is only for a smaller percentage of you, that there's some unspoken power plays. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but that can be with the Strength card reverse. And with the Ace of Pentacles reverse, it just feels like, is this building towards something? I mean, this is your next serious relationship, so it is building towards something. But with the Ace of Pentacles reverse, it doesn't feel like it's solid. Like the first 3 months, it may feel like, what are we? Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? Like, what's happening? I don't understand. And then also the Strength card reverse makes me feel like you guys are doing things that you don't typically do, or you wouldn't do by yourself. Just because the Strength card can connect to Leo. And when it's reversed, you can sort of look at it as being Aquarius, because that's the opposite of Leo. And that's like the house of other people's fun, of what other people like to do. And so when we see this going on here, it's like you both may be trying to some degree appease each other. I don't know. Sometimes the Queen of Cups can be a little bit of a people pleaser. And it may feel like, oh, you want to go and do laser tag? Like, we could do that. And you're like, you're sort of grimacing, but you're smiling and you're like, I don't want to do that. But like, you're not going to say that because you're like, oh, I actually kind of like this person. I'm interested, but I don't want to just shut it down. But ooh, like, you know what I mean? So it can be a little bit of like that going on. Like, oh, you want to see that movie? Yeah, let's go see it. Like that type of vibe with you guys going on. So I want to say that. And like I said, with the Strength card, it's a little bit of like that suppression of that frustration. Like you're trying to, but it may come out in a way that's like, you know, you may not be as authentic to your true self. All right. It's just fair, right? A lot of times when we first date someone, sometimes they're meeting a lot of our representative. We're all scared we're going to be hurt or judged or something like that. So it can be hard to be vulnerable. And when the Strength card is reversed, it's difficult to be vulnerable. We do get to that point of vulnerability. There are some vulnerable moments happening here with this Queen of Cups. So I am hopeful for this relationship. I'm very hopeful. I'm holding out a lot of hope for you guys. And this this Ace of Pentacles is what I'm trying to say, can feel as though, it may feel as though maybe you're a little bit out of timing, out of timing. What I mean by it is out of sync when it comes to your timing. Just because it can be difficult to plan things when the Ace of Pentacles reverse. So maybe you guys don't have a set schedule or anything for when you see each other. So these 3 months, it may be like, okay, we saw each other, twice 2 weeks ago. And then the next 2 weeks we didn't see each other. And then we see each other like, 3 times in 1 week. And then we don't see each other for like another week. And then it's like, the Ace of Pentacles reverse, there's not that stability when it comes to how often we see each other, when. It's just kind of like, we've got to figure out how to work around each other's schedules. Like, that's what's happening here. Like, we're trying to find an opportunity to connect. And maybe that's what's happening, like, with how you guys are trying to open up. Because if we see, the Seven of Cups card, I just got this for another deck. I really don't know what's going on with the Seven of Cups energy. Maybe it just feels like, hey, I really think that this person is I don't know, it just feels like they have everything that I want. And so I'm not really interested in other options. But what I was going to say here is that, what I was going to say here is maybe it's difficult to have those real vulnerable moments because the scheduling is preventing it. Because that Ace of Pentacles reverse is like, when it comes to managing the practical realities of the relationship, it becomes kind of a difficult thing. You know, if someone works at night and someone sleeps at night, you know, it's hard to see each other. If there are competing realities going on where someone could have a lot of different responsibilities, the other person might have a little bit more free time, or maybe they are just as busy. That can be something that plays a part when it comes to scheduling. And then sometimes, because we have this Master of Gems wealth and Ace of Pentacles reverse, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. All right, so don't smite me. Okay, don't smite me. Don't don't shoot the messenger. I know some of you are going to, but whatever. I'm gonna say it anyway. Sometimes this is like a financial issue. And what I mean by that is sometimes somebody can afford some things the other person can't afford. And so there's a mismatch when it comes to things that you guys can do together. And the Seven of Cups is like, we have limited options because I want to do X, Y, and Z, but now I'm trying to work within your budget, and your budget is preventing me from doing the things I want to do. We have limited choices. We have to go to restaurants that are a little bit more on the low end, or we have to figure out activities that are just like nothing above $40. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to work around someone's budget when you have this versus, you know, if the King of Pentacles was upright, the Ace of Pentacles was upright, it's like, oh, we have the world at our feet. We have the world at our oyster, the world at our oyster. The world is our oyster. And, but sometimes we're in that Ace of Pentacles energy, right? Where we're trying to rebuild. And so the first 3 months, you may feel that pressure of like the financial instability part. That could just be some of you. I know some of you are going to be like, never me, you know? But that Seven of Cups is a reality check. So I'm just throwing that out there for some of you. But as I mentioned before with another pile, Seven of Cups can also just represent like, I don't want to date any other people. It's actually interesting with another pile, the Seven of Cups came up a little bit early, reversed. But for me, it feels like since we're getting this on the end, it feels as though like by the end of the 3 months, that's when it starts to fizzle out in terms of like, all right, we've kind of decided that we might want to be more exclusive versus like another pile I've done. They kind of decided more right away, but you guys are trying to feel each other out and try to have a better understanding of each other. That Ace of Pentacles reverse can also be like, I'm being extra careful when it comes to like sussing each other out and really like taking things slow. And you guys are moving pretty slow here. If we're talking about the pacing of the relationship, it's slow. Also, I want to say that maybe there's some meeting of friends just because we have the Strain card here connecting to Leo. And I often get that to represent like loved ones. And so that may happen within the 3 months, but I don't think it's going to be like a very long, meaningful, impactful meeting. I feel like it's something brief. I feel like it's something that's not like, hey, this is a formal introduction. You know, that Ace of Pentacles reverse, that Seven of Cups reverse, Strength reverse, Master of Gems is reverse. This is not formalized. You know, this is not like, hey, it's time for you to meet my friends. It's just something that happens, you know. That's the vibe. That's the vibe I'm getting from you guys, that, hey, this is just some stuff that has occurred. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say when it comes to that. Not a lot of wands here as well. So I think you're taking your time with the intimacy part, the physical intimacy part too. Slow to kiss, slow to, you know, feel each other. Also, that Ace of Pentacles and that Master of Gems, when it comes to like the commitment, it is slower in that area. So these first 3 months, even though this is your next serious relationship, I do not believe that you guys will be official by the end of that 3 months, but I do believe you will be exclusive by the end of those 3 months. And hopefully that makes sense for you all. You know, exclusive is like we're not dating anyone else. And obviously, I actually being in a relationship is like, hey, we're officially, you know, boyfriend and boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend and boyfriend, whatever. So that is what I want to say. I'm gonna leave it there. That is the vibes that the cards want to pick up with. You know, I could talk forever. There's some things that we can look into, you know, but we're gonna end it there. So if you like this type of reading, let me know below. And also, if you want a private reading from me, link can be found in the description bar. And don't forget to visit the polls. I asked you guys some pretty important questions when it comes to the direction of the channel. I also like to ask your opinion on different cards. Also, I make announcements. So it's a pretty important tab. You gotta look at it, you know? You might miss out. So that is what I want to say there. And I'll leave it. All right. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 3. Let's get into your first 3 months in your next serious relationship. We have Novice of Raindrops. And this is going to be like your first 3 months of like knowing each other. So let's be that clear. Let that be clear. 5 of Raindrops, Novice of Raindrops, play. Sorry, that's the Page of Cups. We have the Ace of Clouds, new ideas. We have the 9 of Pentacles. This is the After Tarot deck. High Priestess on the After Tarot deck as well. She has keys in her hand. And we also have the Tower, or La Maison d'Oeuvre. Or is it d'Oeuvre? Anyway, we have the Ace of Swords reverse. Now, let's jump into this. So when we're looking at these cards here to just get a feel of these 3 months, and yes, I did change nails. If you're like, where did the nails come from? I put on nails in between the pals, okay? You know, I do things in between these pals, guys. Now, I am looking at this and I see the Novice of Raindrops play. I like this. It shows that you guys are going into this sort of dating phase with an open mind and an open heart. You know, you're not thinking about like, how am I going to get hurt, or feeling a sense of jadedness and things along the lines of that. It's just a feeling of openness having here. And it's actually interesting because the Ace of Clouds is also the Ace of Swords. So the fact that we got the Ace of Swords reversed twice, that's very telling, isn't it? You know, I think that with the Ace of Swords twice reverse, to me, it's kind of saying that maybe because you're going in with such an open mind that there may be a little bit of naivete to it, which is adding up when we see this Tower moment. You know, when we are younger, or if we have less dating experience, or maybe we're just more of a optimistic person in general, this can happen where we make these assumptions about the other person, and as a what's the word? As we get to know them better, we sort of unravel these preconceived notions that we have about their character, their history, where they're from. You know, I can recall many times, especially early on when I first started dating, getting to know people and being very, very shocked by their world experiences. Now that I'm older, that doesn't happen so much. But with this Novice of Raindrops energy, it seems to me that there's a lot that's not being said. Maybe there's some half-truths, or maybe it's just like certain topics are being avoided. Maybe it feels like you're on the same page, but then at some point it's like, wait a minute, I don't think we are on the same page at all about certain things. Like, there's that feeling that's going on. Somebody could intentionally or unintentionally leave out certain details, because let's be honest, when people are entering relationships, most people don't come out with a contract and saying, okay, this is what I consider a lie, and this is what I consider loyalty to look like, and this is the expectations I have for dating. Nobody's doing that. Most people aren't, right? It's not a whole list and contract that people are coming out with to have an understanding of how the relationship needs to play out. That might go for marriages sometimes, but for general dating, no. And because of that, like I said, there's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of things not being said. There's a lot of miscommunication here that is causing you guys to not have that alignment early on, or having some frustration. This can also represent, like, you're talking about the past, because the Ace of Clouds here says new ideas. And so when it's in reversed, we're talking about old things. We're talking about our exes. We're talking about, you know, experiences we had dating. Like, oh, how have the apps been for you? How has the dating scene been for you? How has this X, Y, and Z experience been for, like, we're going through the past, we're going through the motions, right? Even if we're approaching love with a sense of naivete or optimism, we still can't help but recognize and talk about those experiences from the past because they've affected us. So that is that, right? But I don't think you're holding it against this person. I think it's just like, I'm talking about this. You know, and it might even not be you. It might be them, right? They could be the one that's like bringing up the past. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're holding on to it. They just want to it's kind of like a feeling of relief, you know, that feeling of like, it feels therapeutic to them. I want to say that. But I do want to say, yes, during the first three months of you guys getting to know each other, because we got that Ace of Swords reverse, you guys don't have to overcome some communication challenges. You know, that's going to be a central test to this dating phase. I just want you guys to know that, or the cards want you to know that. I don't particularly have any feelings on whether you guys know that or not, but just know, okay, some sort of adjustment needs to be going on there in this area. Some sort of truth needs to happen. A fog needs to be lifted. There needs to be clarity. It's so interesting because I love how we have the Tower. And then even after we have this moment of truth and clarity and aha moments, you're like, wait, but I have more questions. You know, that's kind of like the feel to it. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on here. Also, when we look at the next serious relationship going on here, we start to see that, I don't know, for me, it feels as though the first 3 months, some of the couples have been getting together fast. Some are taking their time. You guys, I don't know if you're necessarily like, I'm trying to be a couple. The first 3 months, I don't think you guys are claiming each other. Like, this is the next person you're going to be in a serious relationship with. But it's not as if you're like treating this person serious, if that makes sense. Maybe they're showing you some inconsistencies, or maybe you're picking up on this Ace of Swords energy where you're like, I don't think this person's being so open with me, you know, or I think they might be exaggerating a few things, or I think they might be holding back on certain information or whatever. And so you're not ready to commit to that type of energy, rightfully so, right? Who would? I mean, somebody would, but I don't think you're going to do that. You're like, that's just not for me. And so to me, it feels like this is something very casual. This is something that is the first 3 months until till you get that clarity, until you have this honest come to Jesus moment, or whatever you want to call it. You're not going to be pinned down by this person, especially since we have the 9 of Pentacles and the High Priestess. Those are my cards of like, I'm going to just do my own thing. And when you get it together and you decide you want to act right, then you can come my way. But I feel like that's your energy overall. Like, you're really drawing the line here. Very strong boundaries. So you keep it light. You keep it very, very, very light. especially when we're talking about this novice of raindrops here. Very flirtatious, very fun, overall very cutesy vibe, you know, hugs, kisses, da 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 da. But I don't think there's a lot of anything beyond that. Yeah, just gonna be honest. Like, something about this relationship is very interesting. And I think what it is that maybe you guys start off friends, or maybe it's just kind of like there's a vibe going on. You're talking, but there's not like, it's not sort of leading anywhere permanent. Not anywhere permanent. It's not leading anywhere off the bat. It's not lifting off the ground. Like, this feels as if maybe somebody is out of town a lot, or maybe they work a lot, or something like that. But the reality of these cards is they're not connecting in the way that I would say, oh, this is solidifying a relationship within 3 months. We have the Novice of Raindrops, which is the Page of Cups, basically. Very casual, lots of dates, hugs, kisses, da-da-da. But not really full-blown commitment. We have the Ace of Clouds reversed, or Ace of Swords reversed, which is like, we're not starting a new beginning. We're not getting off the ground. This is like, there's a lot of miscommunication. We have the Nine of Pentacles, which is about independence. The High Priestess, she's not known for dating. And we have this Tower moment, which, yeah, you could date when things are in a rough spot, but you know, most people that's not the first thing on their mind, right? So something is having to do with, we just need to feel each other out first. We need to like really get to the core of who we are. And that's being unraveled within the first 3 months. You're having honest moments. You're having moments where there's affection, there's flirtatious energy, but there's no definition for like what we are. There's no like, what are we conversation, right? It doesn't get solidified. There's no answer. It's kind of hanging in the air. So in a way it feels like, hey, this is my, and then you don't know how to introduce that person, right? You just say, oh, this is my, and then you call them their name, right? That's kind of like the vibes going on here. But it's very like reserved, detached energy. Your emotions are not getting too strongly involved in this until they show a level of momentum and commitment that is promising and that is leading in the right direction. What I think happens here with this Tower moment is that it feels as if there's going to be a confession that may take you off, you know, guard, or maybe a conversation. That Tower moment is about decluttering. So it might even be like, okay, we're talking, we're going back and forth, there's some flirtatious vibes, and then maybe somebody cuts it off, right? And then it's like, oh, wait, like, why'd you cut it off? Like, you know, da da da. And then you have a conversation about that. Something along the lines of that. But whatever is happening within these 3 months, it's a lot more about a learning cycle, about getting to know each other, about, it's like a lot is happening between you two, but neither one of you can consistently claim one another within the first 3 months. That's obviously going to happen later because this is your next serious relationship. But the first 3 months, it's not really doing that. You know, there's so much to go through. And it could be that somebody is holding on to some possible baggage, or I don't know if it's from a relationship though. It may be more so like their own personal issues that's going on. You know, especially with that Tower moment. Sometimes the Tower moment is like, I'm decluttering my subconscious and I'm trying to recognize some emotional patterns. And that High Priestess is so self-reflective, and she's all about that inner and higher wisdom and going deep and connecting with yourself spiritually. And so I feel like maybe somebody is in the middle of a spiritual awakening or something like that. And maybe that would explain why this is going through some hurdles to form that connection. But while this is happening, you're both growing independently. You're both doing your own thing. I do want to say there's a lot of success here. There's a lot of enjoying your lives. It's not like this drama-filled narrative going back and forth where you guys are beefing with each other. But there are some missteps. There are some moves towards, let's be independent. Let's draw the line here. But then it gets to the point where it's like, hey, we've got to decide what we are. We got to make some definitions. We can't keep going in circles. We need to have a different conversation, or we need to revisit some old conversations, because I still need clarity on stuff. I feel like we haven't fully connected the dots, or we have a lot of unfinished business. There's some things that you brought up early on that I kind of want to circle back to. Because I have some concerns, right? And I need you not to be defensive or to take it as a personal attack or something like that. But that's generally what's going on here. I don't know how else to describe this feeling. If you're thinking about like, oh, is this person meeting your friends and da-da-da, you know what? No, come on, guys. Like, not for you guys in particular. There's this strong, like I said, there's this strong boundary of independence. Your friends, I feel, are barely going to know about this person, especially with the High Priestess there and the Tower. I feel like something about this relationship is like very hush hush. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying this is a sneaky link or anything like that, but it's more like, hey, like, my friends don't know you like that. Your friends don't know me like that. I know your family like that. Like, there's a line drawn in the sand. It's pretty strong here. But there's a vibe between you guys. And there's a lot of chemistry between you as well. So I want to say that this is, I don't know, like the pace of some of them have a pace. Some of them are fast. Some of them are slow. You guys are sporadic. I think you guys are on and off. All right? Don't beat me up. Don't beat me up, guys, because I know some of you going to try to beat me up. Don't beat me up, okay? Some of you are on and off, okay? This I'm not going to say this for everyone, but the pattern with the cards are so disruptive that it feels like it feels like a break here, And I can often get the Tower to represent like divorce and splitting. Same with the Ace of Swords, whether it's upright or reverse, like the Ace of Swords wants to cut something, So it can be something like that. And, when it comes to showing the affection and being open about the feelings, that's going to take time and really a lot of practice, because I feel like there's a lot coming out that has nothing to do with you, but is going to affect you. How some people sometimes they can go through their mental crash outs because of things that happened in their past. They have those emotional breakdowns or breakthroughs, whatever you want to call it. And you might just be there for that moment and you're like totally confused as to what this conversation has to do with anything going on between you guys, but it's really having to do with some trauma that they've gone through when they were 3, right? It could be something like that. And I feel like that is something that's needing to be addressed. It doesn't have to be that deep. Sometimes this is just the card saying somebody's busy. Somebody's got a lot to do. They have a lot going on. The Tower moment can get someone to say like, hey, like I have a lot going on in my life. I feel like my world is falling apart. I feel like I can barely keep up with everything going on around me. I feel like I'm going through some triggering situations. This is all of the things I feel like I need to declutter. I need to spring cleaning. I need to remove so many things in my life that are just not good for me. And it's hard for me to open up and go into a relationship right now because I just have this whole world around me I need to transform. So there's that. But I feel I don't know what else to add to this, guys. You go on some cute dates. I will say that with the Page of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. Ace of Swords reversed twice shows that it's not really something like that's a unique idea. Something that you would expect from a date is probably going to be happening, like going to a restaurant, bowling. There's all sorts of dates idea, brunch, typical date ideas. I'm trying to think of things. Oh, music. You know, sometimes people go to jazz fests, or see live music and bands and things like that. Comedy shows. Like, these are all like typical dates. So this is kind of what I was saying when it's like, this is a normal kind of like dating experience. Something really nice, something very quiet, something more private. You guys will prefer that rather than like something super crowded. This is why I said jazz first, because generally that's going to be at a smaller type of venue. Granted, you have jazz concerts and festivals, but you know, when I think of jazz, I'm thinking of like a smaller venue. But there's that. You know, you guys have normal dates, you know, just normal, regular, everyday couple cutesy stuff. So that is what I have for you, pal. Number 3. Hopefully that resonates. If not, you know, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Very interesting, very complex dynamic you guys have going on here. And I'm wishing you the best of luck. And I wouldn't hold that against this person. I don't think that they're a bad person at all. I really do think that they're just going through something. And that is what I want to say. And don't forget, if you want a private reading from me, feel free to go to the description bar below and check that out. I'm currently, you know, switching things up in terms of transitioning my reading platform. So I'm not sure when this video come out, but you know what? Private readings in the description, okay? So I'm gonna just say that. I don't even give a whole spiel right now. Hope to see you there. Don't forget to go to the community tab, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 4. Let's get started on the first 3 months of your next serious relationship. And really, this is kind of like, it doesn't have to be like, hey, we're in the relationship already. It could just be the first 3 months of you guys like connecting and getting to know each other, because it's been showing up that way for certain piles. So we have the 5 of Lightning, which is like the 5 of Wands, competition. We have the Magician, creation. We have the 4 of Swords, reverse on the After-Tarot deck. We have the Moon card on the After-Tarot deck, upright. We also have the 8 of Swords, and we have the 4 of Cups reversed. So, what we see here is the fact that we have this 5 of Wands. To me, I generally get this to represent like, one, you know, maybe this person is like argumentative. I don't know. Maybe this is like a lovers to romance type of story. I mean, I doubt it, but some people do like that. Some people like that sort of teasing. They like the back and forth. They like a little bit of like poking fun at each other. And so I feel like with this 5 of Wands energy here, there can be an element to that. So I just want you to know and be aware that when you see this 5 of Wands, this 5 of Lightning, as you call it, competition, it can just show that this person is someone who likes to poke fun, likes to tell jokes, likes to tease, likes to clown around. And then it can be very literal, where it's showing the competitive nature of the next person you're in a serious relationship with. Maybe there's someone who's just like a sore loser. I would advise you not to go on too many like arcade gaming like dates. This person loves to win. And there can be some good things about this 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is like very much, I'm going to make sure to get things done. And then also what I love about the 5 of Wands is the 5 of Wands will show somebody who is not afraid to pivot, because 5s always represent change. I just got the 5 of Wands this week, personally, because I love telling you guys little personal stories, because I feel like it'll help stick in. And this was generally about, 1, sort of like standing up for myself, and 2, basically drawing the line when it comes to things that I was willing to do. Essentially, I've been asked to do something. I said no. It became a whole thing. So when I see this 5 of lightning here, competition, to me it's like, okay, this person is not afraid to assert their boundaries. And I like that. And they might even encourage you to assert your boundaries. If you're not someone who's naturally assertive, it may rub off on you. This person may help you to grow and learn in that area. All right. They're ready to, with the gloves out. So there's that when it comes to the relationship aspect. Now, when we're talking about the things that you two might do together, well, when I see all of this here, I feel as though, I don't know, I just kind of feel like there's a lot of creativity here. Probably because we have that Magician and that Moon card. And they can also sort of represent a dynamic that is not necessarily expected. I don't know why, but like whenever I see like Moon ruled, Mercury ruled couples, and this is from an astrology perspective, when they come together, people tend to not expect it as much, or I don't know. That's just the vibes. Okay, I don't need to dive any further. Whether that is like an age gap, whether that is just a difference in look, personality, whatever the case may be, but there is something about subverting other people's expectations of what a relationship should be like, and then those relationships are often kind of like this 5 of Wands energy, where it's like a little bit of like back and forth and, you know, playing games a little bit, teasing each other, trying to one up each other in a little bit. That could just be you guys' thing, where it's like, I'm going to outsmart this person. I'm going to get this person. And I don't mean in like a manipulative, evil way, you know, just like in a more fun type of way. Okay. So I just want to say that. Hopefully it's not a manipulative way. You know, I'm going to put good energy out there. When we have the 4 of Swords reversed here, I really feel as though this is getting to the, how do I say? It's kind of like getting to this place where you guys are motivating each other, kind of like I said before, with that 5 of Wands energy, because the 4 of Swords, when it's upright, is obviously someone at rest, they're chilling, they're vibing. And then on the After Tarot deck, you have someone sort of like mourning them. It's more of a permanent rest. And when we're talking about things being reversed on this sort of After Tarot deck, well, obviously it's less of a permanent rest, and maybe somebody's just a little sick. And so to me, it feels as though you're both kind of encouraging each other to get out of a sense of a funk. We have the 4 of Swords reverse. We have the 4 of Cups reverse. All 4s have to do with sort of like stagnation, staying in place, which is not necessarily bad. We all need moments of pause and stability. But when you guys are with each other, it's like, oh, this person is pushing me to go beyond what I normally do. This person is bringing a lot of change and transformation into my life. It's not the same old anymore. Like, I'm not having the same experiences that I normally do. And I feel more empowered when I'm with this person. And I love how every reading has their own vibe. Like for this reading, the feeling, the focus becomes on how this person is bringing something out of you. It's focusing a lot on the feelings within the relationship rather than what's going on, what's this person like, da 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 da. You know, it's a really central focus that this person is bringing more creativity into your life, more excitement, more fun, a lot more motivation, and there's an element of thrill here It's like I'm no longer bored. This person excites me. This person thrills me. This person makes me feel connected to something beyond. And there's a sense of adventure here. There's a sense of just like, I'm coming out of my shell. I'm getting to know a different side of myself. I'm getting to know more about the world. I'm getting to know about this beautiful person I have next to me. And I wonder if, I don't know, maybe you've just been in this place where you've been single for a minute. And so things have just been a certain pace and you're just used to that. And so this relationship that's coming in, this person who's coming in just feels like a bit of a whirlwind, like that 5 of lightning. Like, you know, it's like, whoa, this is a lot. You know, this is absolutely a lot. But it's good. You know, I see the cards here indicating that, yeah, there is a little bit of confusion with maybe either you're trying to figure out what's going on with them mentally, or you're trying to figure out your own feelings in regards to them. And the first 3 months are really more so you sitting with your thoughts and saying, okay, how does this person make me feel? What are my feelings towards them? Like, where do I see this going? How do I think they're viewing me? Like, there's a lot of reflection here when it comes to the feelings and the connection involved within this relationship. And I do think you're going to take your time when it comes to really honing in and making that commitment. And the only reason I say that is because we have 0 pentacles here. And pentacles represent stability, groundedness. You're in it with a pentacle. It's not going anywhere. It's just that rock, right? Versus the energy here is more flighty. And so to me, it feels like, and the cards that could mean stability, like the 4s, they're reversed. So I don't feel like the first 2-3 months of you guys like being with each other, there's an overemphasis on commitment. I don't see that. But this is your next serious partner. And it's more so just like, I'm feeling this out. Like, I really need to feel this out. I really want to take my time with this one. Okay? I just see that. And it's interesting because this relationship may start in the sense where it feels as though you're in an environment where you have to compete. And that could be online dating, just because there's so many different people around, or it's just maybe a busy environment. 5 of Wands can generally represent there's a lot of restructuring going around too. Sometimes it's just the environment itself. Maybe there's not a lot of people, but there's like construction, or there's a lot of people moving out. And so it could be something along the lines of that. And you're like, okay, you know, it's not that things are busy, but I've just walked into a store and I see that they are redoing a lot of their aesthetic. So that could be a 5 of Wands energy. And then you happen to run into this beautiful man or beautiful woman, and you're like, oh, this person has, you know, intrigued me, you know, especially with the Magician card there. Because to me, when I see the 5 of Wands and Magician, that's like, hey, I'm showing off. Like, I'm trying to show you what I got. And so maybe their energy is like trying to impress you, or maybe you're trying to impress them. I don't know. It depends on your personality, but you're going to want to like talk to this person. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of conversation you guys are having, especially with the Magician here. I feel like out of all the piles that I've seen, there's like more likelihood that there's sporadic communication. And what that means is probably a lot of texting back and forth with you guys in particularly. And then, you know, what I'm seeing here is that there's a lot of complicated feelings. where maybe you're feeling like there are some sides to this person that you really love and adore, and then maybe there's some sides that you're a little bit unsure about, especially with that Eight of Swords there. Eight of Swords, I always get for that feeling of like, I can't really express myself. Like there's certain things I feel like I cannot say around this person, whether that be due to your own insecurities or due to the fact that they have not created a safe space. And so if they haven't created that safe space, or like I said, it could be personal, well then yeah, of course you're like, I'm not sure I want to be with this person because I haven't had the opportunity to be vulnerable, to be open about who I am and these parts of me. And so I don't know where that's going to land if I, try to fly that plane. So there's that, okay? And obviously, like I said, with that Four of Cups reversed, it may feel like, okay, we're slowly sort of opening up. We're slowly starting to uncover these layers and all of these different sides of our personalities. And the communication starts to get less superficial and it starts to get a little bit more deep as the months go on. But still, by the end of the 3 months, I know it's not there where you need it to be, just based off of the cards. The Four of Cups reverse is a lot better than when it's, upright, because it's like, well, I'm taking the opportunity, but, it's not necessarily everything I'm looking for. And so there's certain aspects about this person that you're going to wish were a little bit different by the end of the 3 months, okay? You're just like, I need something a little bit different. And I think that's normal, right? Because nobody's perfect. So you might just be encountering their flaws and recognizing that, okay, I see a lot of their flaws a lot faster than maybe a lot of other people would, especially with that Magician card and the Moon card. Both of these cards, Mercury, Moon, are known for being very attuned with people, spotting patterns, and being able to make quick judgments and quick decisions. And so to me, it feels like you might be picking up on maybe some of their flaws, and that's creating a little bit of uncertainty. Now, when it comes to sort of like meeting friends and family, I feel like 100% during these 3 months, you're going to encounter some people who they are close to in some regard. They're definitely going to be one who's going to want to talk about their ambitions and their work a lot, and possibly a lot of food, because I get the Moon card to connect with food. A lot of mysticism as well. These are like main topics you guys are talking about, or anything that's going to be like, oh, this is alien, this is taboo, this is like something that's a little bit like a conspiracy theory, something to do with like being particular about like, I don't know, Mercurial energy is all about just like knowing a lot of different information and small details. And so you may notice that this person picks up a lot of small details, and they might have conversations about things that are just like totally random. So there's that. And, but the thing I see here is mainly you're going to want to work on the emotional side of that aspect during those 3 months. Okay. I think that's something that's just like on your mind emotionally. That's the main thing. Like I said, every pile has their different feel. For this pile, it's the feelings that you're like, I need to sort through this, and then maybe we can think about some commitment. And that's what I have there. I don't want to expand any further, and I'm going to leave it with that. I do think that this relationship has potential. You guys find each other very entertaining. Like, you're never bored around each other. So I really like that. But I'm going to leave it. I want to say more, but I talk forever. So if you want a private reading for me, feel free to go to the link below, the description bar below. I am in the process of changing readings right now and updating that whole system. So I'm not sure how I've landed right now, but just check the description bar if you want a private reading from me. And then also I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the time is posted on the community tab. So if you want to just like ask me a question, there's that. And then on the lives, we have the weekly collectives, and I also will poll you guys on, things going on with this channel, any moves, any restructuring. I'll get your thoughts. I might talk to you guys about the weekly collective. I might ask you something random, like your favorite dish or book, So yeah, go ahead and join the lives. Like, it's about connecting. It's about building understanding. It helps me. And, you know, I try to make it fun. You know, I try. But, you know, sometimes it's just me talking to myself here for a little bit. So that is what I have for you guys. And I hope to see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 5. Let's get into the first 3 months of your next serious relationship. And I have found that a lot of these cows, some of them are like more the dating phase they're picking up on. So we have the 10 of Clouds, endings. This looks like the Death card, but you know, it's throwing me off. We have the Oracle of Lightning, determination. We have the 3 of Pentacles on the After Tarot deck. We have the Page of Cups reversed on the After Tarot deck. We have the Page of Wands. That would also be reversed on the not After Tarot deck. We have the 10 of Pentacles. Okay. And just remember, the 10 of Clouds is the 10 of Swords. So, 10 of Swords energy, interesting. Because to me, it feels like this person's probably coming out of a hard place. They're coming out of a place that's like, maybe they're feeling a little bit jaded. Maybe they're feeling a little bit of like despair. And they're just like, wow, the dating game, the dating market, it's tough. It's something that's very exhausting. But whatever the case may be, to me, I feel as though this person is ready for that change. They're ready for that transformation, especially since we have that 10 of Clouds endings. They're like, okay, I want this phase of my life to be over. So when they meet you, you know, it's time for that change of pace here. And that makes sense. We have this Oracle of Lightning. I'm assuming that's the Page of Wands. And that to me feels as like, okay, I'm more determined than ever. Like, I'm ready for a jump in. I'm ready for something to extend my energy towards. You know, I got the Page of Wands once for finances, and you normally think of the Page of Wands to be a lot like impulsive and etc. But there's a side to the Page of Wands that can focus a lot on creativity and newness and development and taking risk. And so when I see these cards together and we're talking about like the first 3 months of your next serious relationship, it feels as if like you guys are both willing to like take a chance on each other. You step out of this space of maybe bitterness or jadedness, or just feeling like, you know, dating is so tough, and you're looking at each other and you're like, you know what, this person is hot stuff. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. If you felt like, or even if you've been single for long periods, because some people get in a phase of where they're single for a while, this is very much giving like, all right, it's time for me to jump back in. I think this person I'm going to take a gamble on. I'm going to invest my time and energy into. And I'm not going to approach this in the same manner, because the Oracle of Lightning, that Page of Wands energy, they're not using the same old approach. And also, if you've noticed the nail change, yes, I did change my nails between cards. I don't even think I addressed that with like pal number 4, but it is what it is. But you'll see the change, you'll see the transformation, and in yourself. And also this person, it's like they're coming back to life again. For them, this feels like a revitalization, something new. Don't get me wrong, the Page of Wands and the Oracle of Lightning, they can get burned out pretty quick. So it may feel like a little bit of, they turn the dial up when they first meet you, and then they, you know, chill a little. You know, it's not love bombing or anything like that. It's just more so like, I'm excited to finally meet someone I click with. So that's the feeling that's going on. It's definitely, like I said, it moves fast in the beginning. This is another pile where you guys become committed sooner than later. Some of the piles are a little bit different. They change a lot. This is focusing on the pacing of trying to like, okay, we're excited to see each other. It looks like we have a lot of things in common. And I can see a future together. Like it's very clear to me. I see the vision. Like on the After Tarot deck, they're finished their work. So the vision has come to life. And so it's almost like this person that you've pictured in your mind is now standing in front of you. And you're like, okay, I see the vision. Like I can see me being with this person long term. And so you don't have to wait too long to be in a committed relationship. You guys will end up being together within those first 3 months of dating. So I just want you to know that, especially since we have that 10 of Pentacles on the end. I'm not saying every part of those 3 months is peachy, beautiful, whatever, but on the end, that 10 of Pentacles is saying, yeah, you guys are pretty much like in a couple together by the 3-month period. So pace the relationship can be, I don't know, it depends. Some people don't think the 3 months is a long time. Some people think 3 months is pretty slow, but it's just going to depend on who you are. But you guys will be together. And from what I see here with the 3 of Pentacles, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a family member or someone you interacted with during that time. I don't know why, but I tend to get like, you know, Pentacles can come up a lot for family for me. I've just seen it a lot. I don't know. For me, I'm just like, what's more family oriented, 10 of Pentacles or the 10 of Cups? I'll say for me, I generally get 10 of Pentacles to represent more members of the family, but the 10 of Cups is like, okay, family's here. But let's say it's like 5 people. 10 of Pentacles is more like 10, 20. It's like, wow, this is a lot of people. But anyway, so this is why I relate Pentacles more heavily to family. So I feel as though somebody's meeting somebody's family, especially since we have the 10 of Pentacles and the 3 of Pentacles coming up in the spread during these months. I don't think this is a planned meeting. Just because we have the Page of Cups reversed and the Page of Wands reversed, which is interesting. You know, you guys are so funny because there was another pile that got like 2 of the same cards as well. But you've got the Oracle of Lightning upright, which is the Page of Wands. And you've also got the Page of Wands reversed. So that is so interesting. So it's like you guys put the brakes on it a little bit. It's like, here's the enthusiasm. Here's me pumping the brakes. But also, this can represent that you let the enthusiasm run away with you, in a sense. Which, now that I think about it, it's probably like this. For some of you, when it comes to meeting that family member, whoever they are, maybe multiple family members, this is a very much unintentional thing. You guys are hanging out. You run into whoever's cousin, brother, sisters, mother, whatever. And it's like, whoa, I met this person. I did not expect to meet my boyfriend or girlfriend's mom today. Like, that's the vibe. For the other side of you, somebody's very enthusiastic. They get a little too enthusiastic. And they're like, I got to introduce you to my family. Like, I've just got to do it. And they may spring it on you. And you're like, I'm not sure, but, you know. Or maybe you are sure. Maybe you're like, you know, I'm actually excited to meet them. You're like, I wouldn't mind it. And you go along with it. And it's just kind of like this impulse decision to meet their family. Family will like you. But it may feel a little bit random and very soon and quick. And especially with the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands, it's like, oh, I didn't really even think about the implications of this and how, you know, especially if you've been single for a while, this is where I'm talking about the implications. Like, if you've been single for a while, then you bring someone home, people are going to start thinking like, yeah, you're going to marry that person or something a lot of the times. Or it becomes a more serious thing, even if you hadn't been painting it that way. So that is what I wanted to say. Obviously, you have a very affectionate person. I will say with the Page of Cups reversed, this is a little bit like I'm a little bit reserved when it comes to the PDA. Same with the Page of Wands reversed. I feel as though it comes across as like, you can see the passion there when you two are interacting, but the passion is more reserved behind the scenes, if that's kind of clicking for you guys. I only say that because this Page of Cups is reversed and this Page of Wands is reversed, and we have this Ten of Pentacles on the end. Ten of Pentacles is heavily traditional, and it's not to say that, you know, people back in the day weren't, you know, wilding out, but there's the reality of traditional, and then there's kind of like the imagery of something that's traditional that's passed down, right? Something that is tied to ideology. And that's generally kind of connected to the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is what I want to pass down. And even if people lived in a reality that's obviously generally probably similar to this in terms of like people's behaviors, people don't want to pass down all the bad stuff or the stuff that can be controversial. And I probably shouldn't have said bad, but just stuff that can be a little bit controversial. And what I mean by this is, when we talk about things being traditional, when we talk about things being very much like a little bit ancient or something that's being passed down, more than likely that's going to be a little bit more of a conservative vibe. And I'm reading this from an American perspective, but I don't know, depending on your country, I don't know. I feel like just generally globally, most countries' history tends to be a little bit more conservative, right? Not all, but most. And so this is why I say this person is not like, they're not with the PDA, or maybe you're not with the PDA, but I don't see that happening. Maybe in the beginning, there's like a few quick hugs and kisses, and then there's like, I wouldn't even say there was a conversation, because like the Ten of Swords can be a little bit oversharey, like in the beginning. And so it feels as though as the relationship progresses, it's like, oh my God, I overshared a little bit too much in the beginning. Let me pull back on that. And so I don't think there's like a conversation about like, let's not do PDA. It's just a more so like, it turns out that way. You know, that's kind of what I'm going for. It lands in that direction and it just becomes an unspoken rule. All right. Don't know why that was important, because I didn't mention PDA with any other pile, but you never know what comes up with Spirit. Obviously, when it comes to who you guys are, we have this Three of Pentacles. Love to see it, because to me, that feels like you're both in alignment with what you want and what you desire out of life. So if you both are looking for having 2 kids and a nice suburban home or a city home or a condo somewhere, or no kids in a condo somewhere, or we don't want to get married or we do want to get married, you're kind of on the same page with those things very early. Now, what exactly it looks like, all the little details, that's probably something that's going to be needed to be worked out. But for the most part, it feels as though that this is something that can be achieved. Like, you're both looking at each other like, okay, I think I can see myself with this person a couple of years from now. I feel like we have a similar way of viewing things. I feel like we have similar desires. I feel like this person is pretty decent about managing their money, which is very important. There's a lot of stability here. And maybe you or them may come from a family that is pretty well off, or just like known in the community or something along the lines of that. But I do want to say that there can be some issues when it comes to mixed signals, and that could fall into the PDA category too, right? Like that could feel like if in the beginning, you know, you're dating and you're doing the quick hugs and kisses and whatever, and then later it feels as like, oh, is this person pulling away? That can come across as mixed signals, right? And this can also be a bit of like emotional blocks, escapism, fantasy, whatever. Filling in the gaps. It's interesting though, if we're talking about like how, and by when I say filling in the gaps, I mean like instead of asking someone their thoughts, you sort of fill in the gaps with your imagination and let that kind of go a little bit more off the rails, which can happen to the best of us, right? I feel as though how you first meet this person, because I have been talking about the settings here, is that I guess the most obvious environment is a work environment, sometimes school, but something about the environment feels structured and professional. So it could be volunteering. It could be like, oh, I volunteer at a church. I am a part of some sort of club. You have so many different clubs that are out there that people join and that they're a part of. You have people who are in book club. You have people who are in track, walking clubs. People who are part of certain, Facebook groups, and they might meet up. That's something that could be going on here, but whatever the case may be, it's more of a structured type of event or environment. Maybe you meet within a business. That can happen too as well. Or something creative, like especially since it's next to the Oracle of Lightning. Page of Wands likes to spend their money on creative things. So this could potentially be like an art show. And especially with this being a little statue here, maybe you meet at a museum. That's not unusual. Okay? So I just want you to know that. And then I feel like the communication definitely needs to be worked on within this relationship. And it's going to take a little bit of moments, but I feel like the intentionality is there. And what I mean by that, I feel like there's good intentions here, but certain approaches or certain things being said or how either you or them are communicating with each other can come across a little bit immature. Like the Page of Cups is reversed. This can be like overly sensitive. Same with the Page of Wands. They could jump to conclusions. There can be this sense of like being stubborn and bullheaded and wanting to get things your way and things along the lines of that. Like that can be that Page of Wands energy. Or being very impatient. So there may be some moments where there's a little bit of like tension, arguing, blah, 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 that you guys got to work through. You may have a few tiffs. I don't think that's unusual for a relationship. And it's not like these are all out brawls. Like this is not the vibes. That's not the vibes here. Someone's being a little bratty, or I guess a little bit more like, I want things my way. I don't want to compromise. I want to do this, I don't want to go and I don't want to go eat seafood. I'd rather have Italian. Granted, Italian has a lot of seafood. Whatever. But you guys know what I mean. It's more so like, I just want to do things my way. And that can happen. There's a sense of needing to learn, develop, and grow together. But I do feel as though the chemistry's there. The chemistry's there. Of all the piles here, I feel like you guys have the strongest sort of shared vision for the future and desires and what you're building towards and what you're looking for in a partner. Even if there's like small tweaks or things that need to transform and change so that your bond grows tighter and more stable. I think that overall the framework, the structure, where you're coming from, the backbones of this relationship is pretty solid, is what I want to say here. But I do think that there's a sense of restlessness, Page of Cups reverse can be a little bit more clingy. Page of Wands reverse can also be a little bit more so like, I'm restless. When is this person going to call me? I've been waiting for your call. Like, why haven't you spoken to me? Like, or even like making promises you can't keep, or it's a lot of like, you're going to need to put your money where your mouth is. And I'm not saying it's necessarily you, it could be them. Like if you're saying, hey, I want to go on a vacation, da 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 da, it's like, well, go on that vacation. All right. So, or last minute canceling, last minute plans. The Page of Wands, the Page of Cups can be a little fickle, right? So there's that. That's happening. But like I said, the chemistry is good. There's definitely a lot of spark. But sometimes, you know, it's like, it's kind of like what I was saying before, how you guys have that instant spark, but I don't think you're relying on that. As this relationship deepens and goes further into these 3 months, it becomes less about like that passion and more about like a sense of care. Pentacles aren't very passionate. They're more so like, I see your value and I recognize that you are valuable to me. So it's more of a feeling that I think this person is special. I think this person means a lot, and I hope that I mean a lot to them as well. And I think that we can have a beautiful life together. I like them, and I hope that we can build towards a future. It's not this crazy notebook passion anymore like it will be like maybe in the couple of first weeks or month. It gets to a place where it's just like, I think this is the person I want to marry. Like that's what I'm trying to say. It's less like of that quick, fast, immature, I guess I don't have to say immature, but it's less of that quick, fast temptation, spiciness, and more so like, I feel like I'm inviting someone to share my space. I feel like I'm inviting someone for something lasting rather than something that's quick and passionate. It goes from that Page of, you know, Wands reverse to that 10 of Pentacles, which is all about building long-term sustainability. So I think that is what I have for you, pile number 5. It's building for the long haul. It's something that becomes more grounded, more committed, something more sustainable, and something that feels like you fall into a rhythm that just feels nice. I also want to say, if you want a private reading from me, all you have to do is click the description bar below and go to that form, fill it out, and I'll get back to you. If you would like to ask me a question, that's not a private reading. I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Time is posted on Community tab by Tuesday night. That Community tab has a lot of useful information. I pull you guys on, you know, what you'd like to see on the channel next. I pull you guys on any changes or how you would like, you know, things like memberships to be set up. And I get your thoughts when it comes to how you've experienced the weekly collectives that I talk about in my videos, and I gain insights from you guys, and hopefully you guys gain insights on what's going to be happening next in the week ahead. There's so much going on in that community tab. You're really missing out if you're not there. And then there's links to social media below. So if you're just interested in just any social media, I will repost generally the weekly collectives, and then I also have the astrology insights. So if you want a clipped up version of that, that's perfect. And then also I have my personal social media where I just vlog and do stuff. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. And I'm going to leave it there. I don't really have much more to say. I mean, I do, but let's cut it short. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir.